In Unit 1, I recorded the rather chaotic starting point in the form of a diary of the life of a couch princess. The performance video work Take a Break expresses the uncertainty and loss of security in that period of life by running frantically through various scenes, as if chasing something and being chased. On this basis, I entered Unit 2 with the question of security. This work is based on a recent news story about women trafficking in China. The incident took place in Zhezhuo, Jiangsu province, where a man with the character of heroic father opened an account on TikTok and other video platforms to depict a father in his 50s raising 8 children in a life of poverty. Many bloggers who focus on positive energy interviewed the father and shot the video to promote his great fatherly love, thus attracting many people to donate food and clothing supplies to the father's family. And some businesses even asked him to endorse their sales. With more and more attention, the seemingly non-existent mother of 8 children was seen. His wife was chained around her neck and locked in a ramshackle house next to the family's large home. The local temperature was close to 0 degrees. She was dressed in tattered clothes, with missing teeth and terrible food. After the buzz, some other mothers in the same village also drew attention. Some of them had broken legs, some were mentally unstable, and what they had in common was that they had no freedom, no names, and no background of life before motherhood. Living in a corner, or just breathing. The village is therefore called Abduction Village. Netizens say that a large part of the village's population consists of trafficked women and their children, who live in past on this habit for a long time. At the time of this event, China was hosting the Winter Olympics. During the opening ceremony, a performance of children playing the role of Taiwan returning to mainland caused netizens to weep, saying that none of our children should be left behind, while in real life the women were chained up in places where no one could see them, and even news and appeals from netizens on related platforms were officially blocked and deleted because of the negative comments on the ongoing Winter Olympics on an international level. The lead actress of the film on the theme of women trafficking released her own makeup photo with the caption, "Too pretty to do Blind Mountain." At the same time, surrogacy services, which had been a gray industry in China, were gradually being recognized and allowed by law in some surveys. All this happened at the same time, which made me think about the extent to which women and women's bodies are used as an object, and how people in different structures are tearing women apart as a group and fueling exploitation, creating a total siege on women in China and elsewhere. I therefore take as my object this life where women's subjectivity is denied and their bodies and wills are invaded. Imagine a future where people buying a woman's eggs in a supermarket might be as normalized as buying a dozen eggs. In the egg bank we might see how much human desire affects the connection of life, and when the hope of life will simply be wrapped up as a commodity. To put into relatively straightforward terms the reproductive imagination about the mother being only the vessel and the father being the source of life's power. The work is made of wax and metal. I made the yolk part of the egg from round to embryonic shape. When considering the material of the egg, I wanted the viewer to have more interaction with the piece because I felt that being consumed was an important part of the whole installation, and I wanted it to be needed as much as the chicken egg, to be able to be used when taken home by people, and the candle fulfilled that condition. For the egg carton, I tried to make it out of metal, trying to get a hard texture like a surgical instrument. The embryos are presented in the shape of wax and a series of other objects, such as plates, cups and cutlery. The needle-like extensions at the top of these utensils resemble the egg extraction tools used in medical procedures. As the consumer attempts to consume the food, the needle is simultaneously stabbed into the throat. This is a way to portray the image of a human arm-length needle, piercing directly into the ovary through the woman's vagina during an egg retrieval procedure. Red, which symbolizes blood, and the metallic silver of the surgical instruments create a visual conflict throughout the work. I try to encourage people to feel the passion of life through the blood and the coldness of the metal at the same time. There are also the different temperatures and forms left behind when the candles burn and solidify, thus resonating with the plight of women and thinking about the siege of female subjectivity by different classes and social groups and the current attitude towards life. In this trend of fragmentation of the body, will mature technology and openness be the gospel of women's liberation from fertility and motherhood? and will it subvert the established gender structure and emotional patterns of human beings in a standardized and batch mode? The first time this work was exhibited was in a commercial kitchen space, so there were parts like the above-mentioned dinner plates that were more closely connected to food. In other exhibitions since then, I have adjusted the work according to the venue, such as the Pure White exhibition space and the refrigerator. During this process, I received a lot of feedback and problems with the work, such as the fact that I printed my personal contact information as a label for an egg carton out of my desire to combine a card with erotic services with a business card. While the exhibition was going on, I had visitors call in, which was the part I didn't expect. So after that I thought about what they were calling for from the viewer's point of view, whether I should have a real online service for them, and so on, to complete the piece, which is still a work in progress for me. Thank you for your patience. Other additional materials will be presented in the PDF. Bye-bye.
With the end of the last video, I am concentrating on how to continue to explore the two materials, wax and steel, around the elements of eggs and ovum to express the idea of the sale of bodies and the desire to procreate in the future world. I have created the sculpture growing based on the concept of an egg shop and throughout the space. Steel frames with wax, egg, or human sculpture form the main part of the installation, with 20 small sculptures encased at eye level on the walls facing the sculptures, next to the walkway where people walk through. This is a view of my MAFA work. For further details, please refer to my website. The frame of the main sculpture is over 2 meters in length and height, so you can see that this is a relatively large sculpture. The process of creating this work and the subsequent exhibition become one of the reasons I choose to explore other mediums at Unit 3. The steel wedding part was